Hello YouTube, how's it going? This is the crossover and I'm back with another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at another prospect for this upcoming 2022 NBA draft. And today we are going to be taking a look at LSU's Tari Eason. So without any further delay, let's get straight into the video. Moving on to some stats regarding Tari Eason. He is 20 years old, stands at about 6 feet 8 inches, weighs about 215 pounds, and has a 6 foot 9 inch wingspan. Pretty decent physical profile for the forward. I think the wingspan does leave a little bit to be desired. However, when you watch him on the court, the wingspan isn't all that noticeable, right? With it not being, 6'10, 6'11, 7 foot. You would rather that wingspan be in that range. However, when you do watch him on the court, it isn't that noticeable. So it's overall not a big deal. And, a pretty solid physical profile. You do like that he has a bit of weight on him. However, moving on to his stats, this is his second year at the college level. His first year, he played at Cincinnati. His freshman year, he entered the transfer portal over the offseason and transferred to LSU, where he is their leading scorer at 15.9, essentially 16 points, 7.2 rebounds, 1.5 steals, and 1.1 blocks per game. It's a pretty versatile game for the forward, as you can infer by his stats. He does have an effective field goal percentage of 56.3, so very solid overall. Is shooting a very impressive 78.9, basically 79% from the free throw line. Very, very impressive free throw percentage for the forward. And he also has a 20 on the dot 3 point attempt rate, pretty lower than most of the prospects that we've covered. However, I don't think his 3 point attempt rate tells the full story. Again, I love including my prospects 3 point attempt rate just to give you guys kind of again another hint or a glimpse into their shot chart. However, he's a much better shooter than what the attempts say. As we'll get into in another part of the video. However, he does have a 3 point attempt rate of 20%, and he does have a very impressive free throw rate of 43.9%. That's what really stood out to me. I really love the amount of times that he's getting to the line, because some prospects that we've covered, they have a decent free throw percentage, but they're only taking about 2 free throws a game. So that is very impressive. And for those of you that don't know, free throw rate essentially means that for every one field goal, you garner this many free throw attempts. So for every one field goal Tari Eason is attempting, he is shooting 43.9% of free throws. So almost 45% of Tari Eason's field goals lead to a free throw, which is very impressive. Just giving you a glimpse into how much he is. Moving on to some of Tari Eason's strengths as a prospect. First up, I have his handle. For a 6'8" wing, I don't think I've ever seen one, at least so far covering this draft process, whose handle is as creative and developed as Tari Eason. I'm not saying he has a perfect handle or anything like that, but the upside that he has shown as a ball handler through this college season has been very tantalizing, very tantalizing. He has as I state, he has a plethora of crossovers he can get to. There's not a crossover that Tari Eason doesn't do, and what I love is that typically you see forwards, they only have one or two moves that they get to. Right, a player like Pat Baldwin or even Jabari Smith on a greater extent. A player like Jabari Smith is going to stay within his realm. He's not going to do too much outside of his comfort zone. But Tari Eason, he'll try anything. He'll try between the legs crossovers. He'll try behind the back into a drop cross, step back. He'll try a drop cross into a between the legs stop, shot fake, and then get to the rim. He's just so creative with his handle, and it's very tantalizing. He's as creative with his handle as the guards in this class, and the multitude of moves he has in order to get to his spots on the court, whether that be at the rim or stepping back for a jump shot, is almost as, dare I say, big or as unique as any player in this class. That might be a hot take, but I mean, I've looked at Washington, Smith, Banchero, and those guys have definitely moves that they could get to, but I don't know how many of them have Tari Eason's bag and can utilize as many crossovers as Tari Eason has. And what I really love about Tari Eason is that as the season has gone on, he's gotten so much more efficient at utilizing his space. Whenever you see, one of these Instagram, ball handlers or back in the day in the and one era where these guys are just doing all these moves, at the top of the key, and then the defender kind of just steps back a little bit, and they're just like, all right, well, you can just sit out there and do all those crossovers at the top of the key, like you're not going anywhere. And Tari Eason at the beginning, when I started looking at his film from the beginning of the season, a lot of times he's just standing there crossing over, going through the legs, behind the back, crossing over, and then you're kind of just watching him like, all right, well, dude, like you're not doing anything. Like if you could do something, like it's cool that you could do the moves, right? But if you could actually do something with them, then that would be much more helpful. And as the season got on, he got so much better, as I state, as utilizing the space on the court, being much more efficient with his handle. At the beginning of the season, he would try to do too much. Like you could see that the handle was there, but again, he would just try to do too much. While as the season went on, there's just certain moves that he would pull off where he would just stop between the legs and then hezzy out his defender. And there, a lot of times he would fake out the strong side defender too, with an Allen Iverson, exaggerated crossover, and then he'd get to the rim and finish, with his right hand. Just beautiful moves like that he's gotten much better at as the season goes on. Tari Eason kind of reminds me of Doomsday from DC. If anybody reads DC comic books or has seen that terrible Batman v Superman movie where Doomsday is a character that every time you kill Doomsday, however you killed him, he adapts. He comes back to life and adapts to the way you killed him. So if you kill Doomsday by stabbing him, his next time he's reborn, his skin will will harden to the point where knives can't hurt him, right? And Tar Eason kind of reminds me of that. Not that he's a super villain or anything like that, but in the sense that every time he is stopped on the court, I feel like he comes back and adapts to it. It's like, all right, the defender's cutting me off this way. All right, now I'm gonna hit him with this reaction move when I come back down on the court, right? And it's almost each game you can almost kind of see him getting better as the game goes on and learning his opponent as the game goes on, and it's honestly so fun to watch. However, moving on, he does have extremely soft touch around the rim with his right hand, I will add. His left hand we will talk about later, but his right hand, he has extremely soft touch around the rim where he loves his little right-handed teardrop. And what he really does around the rim, he likes to attack into the lane. He likes to plant on his right foot, kind of stop a little bit, then hop onto that left foot and then take either a right-handed teardrop or a little right-handed scoop layup. And it's automatic. It's automatic. And I love the fact that he's able to slow down and control and use his size, and it shows you how good his body control is at this age, that he's able to decelerate like that at the rim. And I feel like that will definitely help him in the NBA in terms of just some players can be sped up by the NBA game, and I really think that being his go-to move in the paint, that right foot plant to the left foot, and then paired with that right-handed teardrop, which is his bread and butter in terms of finishing at the rim. I feel like that's going to help him a lot in terms of adjusting to the pace of the NBA game, just being able to slow down like that at the rim, and it's automatic. I mean, you can't really stop it at the college level, and I get that there's going to be players his size and bigger at the NBA level. However, again, just with his body control and with that right foot left foot plant, it's going to help him in terms of translating to the NBA level. However, moving on to another one of my big one of the things that I really love about Tari Eason is just his upside as a shot creator. As I mentioned with his handle, it does need a little bit of polish. I'm not saying it's perfect. There are times when he can get plucked away. However, the upside that he has shown as a shot creator, and the percentages on his self-created shots aren't pretty right now, but it's just the fact that he's able to get to those spots, right? I don't necessarily care too much about the percentages right now with Tari Eason. As you can tell, all you have to do is watch him a little bit, and you can tell that he's still growing. He's still a bit raw. But it's just, you love to see him be able to get those shots off and get to those spots and create the separation that he does. And that handle combined with him having a pretty solid release and overall form, combines the two of them combined to kind of put Tari Eason in a class, uh, in this draft class, where there's only a few guards, never mind wings, that have shown the again the shot creation potential that Tari Eason has. There's a couple moves in particular that really stand out. I believe it was against Alabama, where he was at the top of the key, was dribbling left, stopped between the legs, and then again, no. I believe he was coming down with his right hand between the legs left, stopped, and then between the legs right kind of gathered it into a side step back, which was, I was just like, wow, just watching that. And he created space. He I believe Shackelford was his defender in the moment, but regardless, he's able to create space when he does step back and get to his self-created shots, which is very impressive. That's very impressive that he's able to create the space and combine with as creative of a handle as he does have. And again, as I stated before, as the season has gone on, he's gotten so much more efficient with his handle and utilizing his moves and his and the space on the court, and that just plays into his shot creation as he's able to only it only takes him about two moves now to create separation on step backs. And again, his handle isn't perfect right now, but I feel that as he continues to develop his handle and his IQ, and I fully believe in his handle. I feel like the amount that it's improved from year one to year two is real, and I feel like he's going to continue to work on his handle. So I fully buy into it, and I feel that as he continues to get older, and his handle starts to develop a little bit more, his IQ, his self creation skill set is only going to improve as time goes on. And moving on to his spot up shooting, he's a solid spot up shooter. And as I state here, he definitely does have some mechanics to iron out in his jump shot, but overall, it is a very smooth form. And what I really love is that he gets great elevation on the release. And a lot of prospects that we have covered again so far through this process, they don't necessarily get all that much release on their release. Last video we covered Ty Washington, and one of the big concerns I had with him is just that his release is pretty low. That's not the case with Tari Eason. Even though you could work out some mechanical issues in his form, his release isn't one of them. And what I love about that is that his shot is just going to be so much harder to contest at the NBA level, right? A guy like Ty Washington is a good shooter, but again, just given how low of a release he has, defenders are going to have a much easier time contesting his shot, especially, live dribble shots. That's not going to be the case with Tari Eason just because his elevation on his release is so high, and he does, get good lift on his shot overall. So that combined with just his length, his size, and how high his release is, it's going to be hard for defenders to contest his shot at the NBA level, which is really good. Which is really good. You love to see that. And I feel like he's going to be a solid enough, spot up shooter from day one at the NBA level, even if he doesn't iron out some of the mechanics in his jump shot, which we will cover in just a second. However, moving on to the defensive side of the floor, where he is just awesome as an on-ball defender, point of attack defender, whatever you want to call it. He is awesome, just simply great. He's what really stands out about Tari Eason on the defensive side of the floor is his footwork, whether that be on or off the ball. We will get to his off-ball defense in a bit, but his on-ball defense, he just has such great footwork. A lot of times you can see players his size kind of be susceptible to smaller ball handlers. They'll get caught off balance, or their feet will be too slow to react. That's not the case with Tari Eason. His feet are always moving all the time, which in a sense it could be a bad thing when you get to the NBA level, but his footwork, his feet aren't moving to the point where he's a bit all over the place, right? His feet are just moving enough to the point where he can keep up with ball handlers in front of him, and he's guarded a fair amount of good ball handlers, whether that be Kennedy Chandler for Tennessee, or whether that be Keon Ellis or Javon Quinterly for Alabama, as I state here. Those guys just simply didn't have chances. All three of them when Tari Eason was covering them on ball in isolation situations. I think there was maybe one play where Kennedy Chandler got to the rim against Tari Eason. Everything outside of that, and he was matched up against Tari Eason a fair amount. We're talking about a first round point guard here. People underestimate just how good point guards are at a Division One level. If you're a Division One level point guard, you're a damn good player. If you're an NBA prospect caliber of point guard, you're an amazing player. So for Tari Eason to be able to put elite college guards, NBA prospect guards in jail like that it's just awesome to see, and I feel like it's going to translate beautifully to the NBA level. And again, his footwork is what's very impressive, and as well as his discipline. He doesn't foul too much. He likes to keep his hands up. He likes to keep his hands wide. You always see coaches tell players to keep their hands wide. You really see that with Tari Eason, and I feel like that definitely plays into his on-ball defense, since I feel like it does affect the ball handlers as they're kind of noticing just how big Tari Eason is, right? And I feel like that definitely plays into his strengths. Moving on to his off-ball defense, where it's very impressive as well. He's always alert, and what I really love about Tari Eason is, I'm going to keep comparing him to Ty Ty Washington, even though they're not the same position. It's just a player that we last covered. A player like Ty Ty Washington kind of falls asleep off ball. It kind of takes a player like Boy or Jacob Toppin to kind of tell him, hey, wake up, fight over the screen, go, and that's just not Tari Eason. He's always alert, and he's always his head is always on a swivel, and he communicates very well. And his ability, as I state here, to recognize when to switch and when not to switch is amazing, absolutely amazing. I remember there was one play specifically against Alabama, I believe, yes, where his man was setting a screen on his teammate, setting a down screen for an open shooter. Tari Eason's telling his man, "Hey, get through the screen, get through the screen, get through the screen." And then his man is essentially trapped behind the screen. And I believe it was Shackelford that was shooting. If you guys don't know, Shackelford for Alabama is one of the best shooters in the country, and Tari Eason immediately recognizes that. He's like, all right, now my teammate can't get out there. I'm going to get out there. And he does a great job of contesting Shackelford's shot, which resulted in a miss. So very, very impressive awareness and overall IQ off ball and his alertness for the forward. And, moving on to more specifically, his strong side defense is elite, and as you might imagine, his awareness off and more weak side situations plays into his strong side defense, where it's especially against smaller ball handlers, there's just nothing they can do with his length. And that's very impressive to see, as essentially he's pretty much a black hole as a strong side defender. Even bigger ball handlers struggle to get by Tari Eason just because he has so much length. And just given how tall he is, he does a great job of playing those passing lanes, which does result in a lot of those steals for him. And he's also a very solid weak side rim protector as well. Very solid weak side defender as well. He does a great job of playing the passing lanes as a weak side defender too. But what really stands out about him as a weak side help defender is as a rim protector, where he does a great job of contesting shots. And yeah, he's just a very disruptive overall off ball defender, whether that be as a strong side defender or a weak side rim protector slash playing passing lanes as well, and just rotating, and does a great job of communicating out there and switching when it needs. Moving on to some of the concerns I do have with Tari Eason. First up, I just have his left hand overall on the offensive side of the floor. He's not much of a finisher with that left hand. He does struggle, especially when he does have to adjust, around the rim, adjust to contact. Kind of similar to Ty Ty Washington, where I know I've been saying Ty Ty Washington a lot in this video, but please bear with me just for comparison's sake. But both players are kind of similar in the fact that they're able to finish very well with their right hand. However, that left hand needs much work, and it's kind of strange because both players do have very good body control. I think Ty Ty Washington does have a little bit better body control than Tari Eason overall, but still, they both have very good body control, good wingspans, and they both struggle to finish around the rim with their left hand. However, Tari Eason's ball handling with his left hand is very concerning as well. He's a good ball handler in transition overall, but if you force him to his left hand, or if he's attacking on the left side of the court, and there's a strong side defender there that's gonna jab at or swipe at his handle, he's susceptible to turn over the ball and just lose his handle. So I feel like his he needs to clean up his handle, but more specifically his left hand ball handling, which all you have to do is just watch him, and you could just tell just looking at his left hand while he's dribbling that he's not all that confident in it right now. And that's okay. That's okay. Just given the steps that he's taken from year one, again from year one to year two, with his handle, for a guy that's right hand dominant, he's not going to be perfect with his left hand right away. So all as long as he takes steps, which he has shown from year one to year two, then it leads me to believe that I think his left hand will be fine as time goes on. And just given how good of a finisher he is with his right hand, I expect his left hand finishing to develop as well. And again, a lot of these concerns are big concerns, but just given the fact that how much he's improved from year one to year two, I'm not freaking out about any of them. However, moving on to his free throw release, which is kind of weird because he is shooting a very good percentage, right around 79%. So that's a very good indicator of that he's going to be a solid shooter at the next level. However, I've noticed something about his free throws. The reason why he's not shooting in the high to mid 80s is because on the second free throw he always drops his release. Always drops his release. On the first free throw, the release is fine. It's a pretty shot. Usually makes his first free throw. His second free throw, that's the problem. Every second free throw, he drops his release. He kind of does one of those where he shoots and then he kind of like puts it down and he's kind of like looking like, is it going to go in? And, I get it. When I used to play in high school, I kind of did the same thing. I've seen players do the same thing. And it doesn't appear to be that big of a problem, but I feel like that's the major reason why he's not shooting a much better percentage from the free throw line, as he's a much better free throw shooter than even what the percentages say. And the percentages say he's a good free throw shooter, right? So I feel like if he just holds his form on his second free throw, I feel like his percentages would skyrocket to the point where I think a lot more people would be viewing Tari Eason in the same light that I do. However, moving on to his shooting pocket, which is my major concern with his spot up shots, is that his shooting pocket is a bit too close to his body, in my opinion, where it's his elbow is kind of like way too close, and then I feel like it throws off his shooting pocket. And it leads to his shots to kind of lean and his body to lean, leading to his balance being a little bit messed up. So I feel that if he could just put his shooting hand a little bit more out. It's just too close to his body, and it's just throwing off his balance and his release. So I feel like if he just pushed out his shooting hand a little bit, I feel like it would kind of free up his shooting pocket, give him more space when he shoots. And I've seen it. I've seen it when he shoots. There's a lot of times, especially he likes to take a lot of spot up corner threes where the release is a bit too close to his body. His body control is a little bit all over the place because of the shooting pocket, and especially when defenders, some defenders that do make an effort to contest the shots, the shot can be, a little bit all over the place. It could, lean one way, lean the other way, depending on where his release is, just because his balance as a shooter just isn't there. So I feel that if he just pushes his shooting pocket out a little bit, I feel like it would do wonders for his spot up jump shot. As I stated before, that combined with just his mechanics being pretty smooth, his release being pretty good, leads me to believe that if he just, pushed the shooting pocket out just a little bit, I feel like his shot would skyrocket, in my opinion. And I do feel that overall as a ball handler, or just in both half court and full court situations, I do feel that he could be a bit out of control. Sometimes he can attack really without a plan. I know that does go against my biggest strength, where it's just his handling, getting to the rim. But there are times where he can be a little bit too ambitious, where it's kind of like Tari, just chill out a little bit. You don't have to attack the rim you don't have to attack on 30 people trying to get to the rim. You can take it easy. Trust your teammates, even though his I have big gripes about the way LSU uses him. I feel that the offense should really run through him, and I get that he's their main ball handler, and he does have a pretty high usage rate. But I don't feel like they really truly run the offense through him as much as he should. And that combined with just his other LSU teammates, LSU is arguably the best defense in the country, but on the offensive side of the floor, they just have a lot of raw athletes. So he doesn't have the best of offensive teammates. However, I do feel like he should try to look to trust his teammates a lot more than he does, and I feel like that's going to be fine. I think it's going to be fine. It's just, again, as I stated before, in the strengths such as his IQ and handle develop, and the clear progression that we've seen from him from year 1 to year 2 leads me to believe that a lot of these concerns will be ironed out. And also, I feel that on the defensive side of the floor, my real only concern is that when he's defending closeouts, I think he definitely needs to be a lot more disciplined than he is. He's susceptible to fake passes, and a lot of times his length does bail him out. As there's a lot of times where his effort isn't all necessarily there on closeouts, where he'll kind of give it a second, like when as soon as he sees the pass, he'll kind of be like, ugh, I gotta go close out. And you could see a lot of times where he just kind of like shrugs his shoulders a little bit, and then he's like, all right, now I gotta go run out there. And a lot of times his length does bail him out. However, there's a handful of plays where it doesn't, and this leads to him being it leads to him being liable to be shot faked. A lot of times, players who catch it in the corner will just pump fake, and Tari Eason will just fly by, or they'll just catch it, fake it right back. If they're in the corner, they'll just fake it right back out to the wing, and Tari Eason will just go for the pump, just go for the pass fake, and then his man will have an open lane to the basket. So I feel just being much more disciplined, on closeouts is really the last, the biggest hole in Tari Eason's defense. However, overall, I really love Tari Eason, if you guys couldn't tell. I love his handle, his creativity with the ball in his hands. It's arguably as good as any player in this class. I'll stand by that statement. I love his shot creation potential and his just overall defensive versatility. Being able to play on and off the ball very efficiently, putting some of the best ball handlers in the country in jail. And he does have some concerns. I'd say he's a relatively raw prospect. His left hand again definitely does need work. I feel like his second free throw. I feel like if he just held his form, I feel like his percentages would be a lot better. I feel like his shooting pocket definitely needs to be a little bit more spaced out. Then again, just being a little bit out of control. But I feel like that just comes with the age and his play style, how ambitious he is, and then also just closing out on defense, closing out more efficiently and more disciplined on close on spot up shooters. But overall, I really love Tari Eason. I love his two-way impact. And in my opinion, he's a top 15 prospect in this class. I have him, I believe, 13th on my board. That's how high I am on Tari Eason. I feel that he's a lottery lock for me. And a lot of people don't have him. I've seen a lot of people, especially I remember I was watching I believe it was TCU yesterday. Yeah, TCU. They lost to Mike Miles and company, where Mike Schmitz had him as the 33rd ranked prospect. I think that's absurd. I can't name 32 prospects in this class better than Tari Eason. And again, this might be a little bit of a hot take, but I believe Tari Eason to have one of the highest upsides in the class, and I have him firmly as a lottery pick. And that's the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think about Tari Eason in the comments, where he ranks amongst not only the forwards of this class, but in the amongst the guards and centers overall prospects in this class. Do you guys think he's more of a lottery pick, top 15 pick, more of my line of thinking, or do you guys think he's more of a first round pick, more like what general consensus thinks about him? But aside from that, that's in the video. Please subscribe if you guys haven't already. Share it with a friend if you haven't. Want to keep growing the community that we have here. And yeah, that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Please take care, stay safe out there, and peace.